Hello, friends, and welcome into Pittsburgh Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. I am Tom Downey. Today's video is a look at some notable takeaways from the first unofficial depth chart from the Steelers. We don't want to freak out too much necessarily, but there are some interesting tidbits that I think can be inferred and gleaned from that unofficial depth chart. Before that, though, I need your guys' help. I am tired of seeing all over my Facebook page and seeing in the community Slacks here at Chat Sports, bunch of Browns videos. Matthew Peterson, that loser Browns host, has done a great job of finding ways to get Browns fans to share the videos on Facebook. We're friends. I see it too much. Help me out. Share this video on Facebook right now. It's pretty straightforward. Click the share button, then click the Facebook icon here on YouTube. You can tag at Chat Sports as well. We have a Facebook page. Bonus points if you throw in "here we go," and then simply click post. That way I don't get beat up and bullied too much by Petey and his other loser Browns friends. All right, next up, 5 takeaways from the Steelers depth chart, offense and defense. We begin where else? Quarterback. Kind of makes sense, right? The unofficial depth chart is what we see on screen here. Mitch Trubisky, quarterback 1. Mason Rudolph, quarterback 2. Kenny Pickett, QB 3. And Chris Oladokun down there at quarterback 4. All those mental reps he's been getting. Even in light of the, I don't even know if I believe that Mark Madden report of, Pickett might not play in the preseason. I kind of doubt that one. What we do know is the quarterback play has been fairly underwhelming so far at training camp. Athletics Mark Kaboly has kind of gone in depth, and I'll just summarize here so I'm not reading off screen and text for 5 minutes. Has not been great in the 7-shots drill, offense, defense, face-off on the 2-yard line. At one point, he was on an 0 of 16 streak, 3 of 20 on those reps in all camps. There were some bad team period stuff, overthrows, 0 for 4. Mason Rudolph has said he's going to get some reps as well with the first team, but it had been all Trubisky so far. Pickett got a couple second-team reps, but hasn't been a lot there. But for Trubisky in particular, it's not a good look for Mitchburg, as we'll call him. Now, there's no "or" designation, which I do think matters here quite a bit, and I do still fully expect Mitchell Trubisky to be this team's starting quarterback for Week 1. But there is at least a chance that Mason Rudolph ends up being the starter. Is it unlikely? I still believe so. Will the preseason matter maybe a bit more than what I thought it was going to? I also think so. I'm also very curious how much Pickett plays in the preseason and potentially in the regular season. He was the first-round pick. You need him to be your guy. You have committed to him as your franchise quarterback. Maybe not necessarily Week 1 or Week 7 or even Week 18. But in the future, he needs to be your guy. So who do you think should start at quarterback? Who do you think should be the guy Week 1 for this team? This is our pinned comment today, so if an ad break comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Type in MT for Mitchell Trubisky, or type in MR for Mason Rudolph, or KP for Kenny Pickett. Those are your 3 options. Sound off at the pinned comment. Let's talk about the left guard situation now, and that's Kevin Dotson versus Kendrick Green, and this is a "or" situation on the depth chart. Both of them listed as the first team left guard. There is no second, third, fourth, or even fifth team left guard because that's just how the numbers work. They put Jake Dixon, by the way, over on the right side, which I found interesting, but the numbers are off balance, so we'll put him on the left side to make it even and whatnot. Kevin Dotson was ahead of Kendrick Green on the depth chart. Not that that matters too much there, but I still believe that Dotson is your favorite to win this job. He was fine and even bordering on good when healthy last year, his PFF numbers. Penalties a little bit high, 3 sacks allowed, and I didn't think he was actually that great in the run game, which I think was indicative of the entire offensive line not having the best run game overall. But in theory, a different center will, rise up everybody's play on the offensive line. If I had to bet, and as a gamble man, I will, I think Kevin Dotson wins this job. I think he is a better piece and better fit for this offense at the left guard position. But I don't mean to be overly negative to Kendrick Green. And with that in mind, he was not good last year. Green struggled. Not consistent at all. Struggled in the run and the passing game. You might see 3 sacks. So that's not that different from left guard. 3 sacks for a center is a ton. That is a position that based on the PFF numbers, doesn't allow a lot of sacks because that grouping often gets help. It's not often that position is one-on-one against the defense line. There's almost always help, or he's given the help. Now, Green has said he didn't like center all that much, and he's more comfortable at left guard. Okay. Not sure why he drafted to be a center, but I digress. I think he can be your top backup on the offensive line. I would be happy if Green emerged or Dotson emerges in the end. I want an obvious starter because that means one of them elevated their play over the other. So we'll wait and see how that continues. That is still one of the top, if not the top, offensive camp battle and preseason battle to watch. Now, I want you to be honest with me. After all the changes this team made along the front, will the offensive line be better than what it was last season? Y for yes, N for no. Sound off in the comments section. The preseason is finally here, just around the corner. And if you want to bet on preseason games, this is the spot to do it. It's BetUS. A 125% deposit bonus when you use promo code Steelers125 at chatsports.com/bet. Now, you got to put down at least $100 in order to get that deposit bonus, but you can have free money if you use BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code is Steelers125. Bunch of odds out there, futures bets, including some Week 1 starter odds. Trubisky is your heavy betting favorite, minus 250, meaning you put down $100, you're going to win 40 plus your initial 100 back. If you think Kenny Pickett ends up being the guy, plus 170, it's 100 to win 170. Although I will make note, there were no odds for Mason Rudolph, which I find curious and curiouser on that front. So we'll keep an eye on how things stand with the quarterback battle for Trubisky and Pickett. But if you want to bet on the Steelers, do it over at BetUS. Chatsports.com/bet. Promo code Steelers125. All right, inside linebacker. Now, ORs aren't reflected very well in our graphics package, but there is an OR here. Devin Bush and Robert Spillane are the OR options at linebacker opposite Myles Jack, which I find really interesting and curious because that is a clear sign that the Steelers are not sold on Devin Bush. Now, we knew that when they declined his fifth-year option, but even just being a starter this year, they have opened up a challenge between Bush and Robert Spillane to be the number 2 linebacker, inside linebacker, with, of course, Myles Jack being linebacker 1. I would be concerned and worried if Robert Spillane beats out Devin Bush for that job because I'm not out on Bush yet. Now, look, he was bad last year. I don't think Spillane's anything special either. So I think in an ideal world, knowing ideal doesn't always happen, we end up seeing a scenario in which Devin Bush earns that job and Spillane is linebacker 3 on the interior for Pittsburgh. Who do you think should start? You kind of know my thoughts. I'm typing in my DB for Devin Bush. What do you want? DB for Bush, RS for Robert Spillane. Now, we will have more camp and preseason updates for you guys right here on Pittsburgh Steelers Talk. So if you haven't already, hit that big red button and join us for more free videos every single day. It's youtube.com/SteelersTV. The cornerback grouping was also interesting. We're going to begin with Arthur Maulet, who was the nickel corner and the only nickel corner on the depth chart. Everybody else was labeled as left corner or right corner, which frankly I don't worry too much about that. I think Arthur Maulet is the 4th best corner on this team. In no particular order, Cam Sutton, Levi Wallace, Ahkello Witherspoon. What is noteworthy to me is that Levi Wallace and Ahkello Witherspoon also got the OR designation. Chris Steele, James Pierre, Justin Lane, etc. We're all behind those guys. So does that mean that when the Steelers go with nickel corner sets, it's going to be Arthur Maulet and one of Wallace or Witherspoon on the bench? Or is it going to be a situation where when they go to dime packages, then Arthur Maulet comes out there and you put Cam Sutton in the nickel? I'm not so sure anymore. I think we'll get a better insight as the preseason moves along, but cornerback is, of course, still a big-time position to watch. Let's talk special teams now. Yeah, we'll talk about that. Gunnar Olszewski, I believe that's how you pronounce that one. It's always a tricky one for me. He is labeled as the top kick returner and punt returner. I don't know if there's too much read into that, but he's going to make this team as a core special teamer. I would also like to see Calvin Austin be involved from that standpoint. Olszewski can handle things as a gunner. It's a very fitting name for him on kicks and punts and all that stuff. But I also want to see Austin get involved. He is a dynamic football player. Maybe it's only punts, maybe it's only kicks, whatever. Put him back there in one of those roles. He offers more big playability than Olszewski does at that position return specialist role. We appreciate every single one of you who made it to the end of today's video. It makes you a real one. We'll have producer Jeremy show you some love in the comments if you made it to the end and you type in "here we go." Otherwise, I don't know if you made it to the end. So spam "here we go" in the comments right now.